So let me just show you what Yiwu is. Let's just go to images. So most folks have heard, of course, about sourcing their products from China. And when a lot of people think about sourcing products from China, they think about sourcing from the Canton Fair. And the Canton Fair is friggin' massive. Heaps and heaps of companies will display their products at Canton Fair. However, just like in Australia, there are lots and lots of that kind of fair happening right across Australia. The same is true also in China. And so there's another place you can source in China called the Yiwu markets. Now, here is another level of sourcing, and so I want to give you a lot of things to think about when you're considering sourcing from Yiwu. First thing to consider is this. The Yiwu markets are massive. Let's have a look, see if I can get a picture of the Yiwu markets for us. I just want to find a picture of everything for us. Like, it's all of that, but there's also outdoor stuff as well. Where is it? It's kind of all like this. It's all shots like this, okay? And the way the Yiwu market is put together is typically this will be direct from factory, and they will have a stall not unlike this. You can see it's really, really small, and they just focus on one thing. So Santa Claus toys, for instance, for this particular one. And then upstairs, so there's two levels. There's the downstairs, which is the commercial floor, and then upstairs, which is the trading offices. And it's the upstairs trading officers that control the downstairs shop fronts. I guess that's the best way to think about it. So this is a Chinese market for Chinese buyers and sellers, unlike Canton Fair, which is a fair in China aimed at international customers. So the first thing to recognize is this. The likelihood of you finding somebody in the Yiwu markets what speaks English is commensurately smaller than finding somebody at Canton Fair that speaks English, simply because the folks at Canton Fair, they're there for international business. That's what they're there for, and you probably are aware the language of international business is English. However, at Yiwu, they're there to sell to Chinese customers. Therefore, speaking English is not a priority for them. So everyone's going to be speaking Chinese. So that's, depending on how you look at it, either a benefit or a drawback. Next thing to consider is this. At the Canton Fair, they are looking for international business. And so the prices will reflect that. The prices will reflect that. Of course, there is an international price for a product in China, a manufactured product in China, and a local price for a product that's manufactured in China. And if you think otherwise, then you're deluding yourself. So you are likely to pay more at Canton Fair for the same product than you would do at Yiwu markets for the same product, because at Canton Fair the products are there being sold to international buyers who have, let's face it, more money. And the products at Yiwu are there for folks who are buying, they're selling directly to Chinese, and so you're buying and selling at Chinese prices. So there's that to consider as well. So far you're probably thinking to yourself, well, holy crap, I ought to be sourcing from the Yiwu markets because I can spend less money. Let's continue on. You'll also, because at the Canton Fair that's aimed at international businesses, typically international businesses are buying in greater volumes. Therefore, the minimum order quantities you can get from Canton Fair tend to be international business based numbers, i.e. they're higher. Whereas at Yiwu, the marketplaces are much, much smaller. Therefore, the minimum order quantities that you can buy are basically there isn't one. And you can order one unit if you like. Kind of like the difference between Alibaba and AliExpress. And that's a really, really great way to think about this, the difference between Alibaba and AliExpress. So, where does that leave us with sourcing from there? Well, the only way to source, I believe anyway, from the Yiwu markets is to get somebody to source for you. That's the only way to do it. If you try and do it, then you will immediately run into not only a language barrier, but also a cultural barrier as well. And because of that, you're going to find it difficult to do business on there. And also, because the Yiwu marketplace is not as regulated as, say, for instance, Alibaba with gold suppliers and things like that, there is a increased risk doing business there of, unfortunately, getting ripped off. Now, it's not massive, and you shouldn't let that stop you, but it's just good to go into these things with your eyes open. You haven't got the same safety checks that you have sourcing on a platform like Alibaba if you go direct to somebody in a Chinese market, because that's essentially what it is, and source from them. So consider that too. As for who you should use to source there, well, there are folks on Upwork who will source there for you. Also, Jeffrey Loho, let's pull Jeffrey up, has got a sourcing agent in China. I forget her name. It's who Jeffrey uses with his diamond clients, and gets great results. But Jeffrey, you can tag Jeffrey by going like that. Jeffrey Loho, there you go. So just tag Jeffrey like that, and I'm sure if you are pleasant to him and buy him a drink at the conference, he will undoubtedly share his sourcing agent with you. Or you can go and find your own. There are plenty on Upwork that you can use as well. But just keep in mind, you will never ever pay the same price as the Chinese do. You just won't. You just won't get that price because you ain't Chinese. You ain't Chinese. You're not speaking their language. You're always going through somebody else. It's just not going to happen. But you can get great deals from Yiwu. Great place to go source. There are increased risks, of course, but business is risk. Business is risk. So I've also, I think, answered in that Walter's question about sourcing agents. They will be at the Yiwu markets, so you can get a Yiwu sourcing agent. There's a company I've used before. I can't remember they did Yiwu sourcing. Where is it? Yiwu sourcing agent. Can I find them on here? Yiwu, to do them in China. Nope. But I'll see if I can drag mine out too. But as I said, Jeffrey's got one if you want to go with Jeffrey's. He's got a great one. I'm just using her. Very good. Fantastic. Trading companies search for factories. Yes, good point, Sue. So Sue says, Yiwu is where the trading companies go search for factories. So that gives you a sense of that. John says 1688, which is something I use heaps to source. If you're going to use 1688, again, you're going to need a sourcing agent. I use it in a different way. I use 1688 for negotiating. This is the Chinese version of AliExpress. That's the best way of thinking about it. A Chinese version of AliExpress. I use this all the time. Really cool. I've done that before, so I've already covered 1688. So if you want to find out about that, that's in a previous Q&As that I've done where I've gone through exactly how to use 1688 to go source. Hey, thanks so much for watching that video, and I hope that you got some massive value from it. Before you go, do you live in Australia? If you do, this is for you. Would you like to learn how to sell things on Amazon here in Australia? Would you like to know what sells really, really well and what sells for the maximum amount of profit? Would you like to know where you can source those products from, whether that be in China or here in Australia, and how to source them so you pay bottom dollar and get maximum value for what you're doing? If you do, please subscribe to my channel and like this video, and you'll learn that and much more. It's the exact same information that people like Jeff from New South Wales have used to make $45,000 a month on Amazon, that Sue, who's from the sunny coast, has used to purchase herself a brand spankly BMW every single year as a result of her e-commerce business, and the lovely Kate from Bowral in New South Wales has used to make $32,000 a year on a month, not a year, a month on Amazon, and indeed Anthony, who makes $15,000 a month on Amazon, selling, as he puts it, odds and sods. If you'd like to learn the exact same information that they use to maximize their profits for their Amazon businesses, subscribe to this video, like my channel, post below if you want me to teach you something. Okay, I'm out of here. Speak to you soon. Bye. Subscribe. Do it now.